Before we talk area football week 4, Dave, tell us who was our headliner in week 3. We had a guy that made it to the end zone a lot of times.
Yeah, he's found the end zone to his liking. Tanner Schaefer, who's a junior, kind of a multi-purpose back for New Berlin. 2 weeks ago, he had 3 touchdowns against Auburn. He had never scored a varsity touchdown until then. Last week against Sangamon Valley, he had 5 touchdowns. He ran for a couple, caught a couple of passes, and he also returned a fumble for about 70 yards for a touchdown. So, all of a sudden, he's kind of a scoring machine. New Berlin's used kind of more of a spread offense, and they can utilize guys a lot of different ways, and it's really worked well for him.
In the Central State 8, we have the big father-son matchup. We had the same father-son matchup during basketball season last year when Williamsville and Auburn played. But they play this week, and it's not father against son, but it's still 2 pretty good coaches and 2 pretty good quarterbacks locking horns in the Sangamo Conference.
Yeah. Auburn plays at Williamsville Friday night, and arguably, maybe the 2 best small school area quarterbacks. They're both seniors. Michael Bates for Auburn, Josh Gentile for Williamsville.
Bates leads the area in passing yardage. Gentile is in the top 5, and he's also one of the top 5 rushers in the area too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they just their offenses, they kind of do different things. Auburn obviously is much more of a passing team overall. Williamsville doesn't throw quite as much as they did last year. They lost a few receivers to graduation. Gentile does a few more things for them. Does a lot of running. He's just very quick, very elusive. I think Auburn. Michael Bates this year has a few more of a supporting cast in terms of skill position guys, especially receivers.
Hammer and break, boy, they can both catch the ball.
Yeah, among others. And whereas Williamsville, they have some good players. They still haven't had a lot of varsity experience yet, though they're kind of coming along. But Gentile's just very explosive, and he could score from anywhere.
What's the Sangamo Conference race look like right now?
Well, I think Friday night could tell us a lot. I think right now, I believe I'd have to double check, but I think Auburn and Williamsville they're both 2-0 in the Sangamo. They were ranked 1-2 in the preseason in the poll. Mm-hmm. And I think there are a few other 2-0s, but right now I just think tomorrow night's game is going to go a long way to maybe deciding that championship.
What's going on in the Prairie State Conference?
Prairie State this week, it's kind of I don't want to say a calm before the storm, but probably the best matchup might be Nokomis and Pawnee. Nokomis is 2-1, Pawnee 3-0.
Bounce back year for Nokomis. They struggled the last couple of years.
Pawnee 3-0. Pawnee probably should win that game. They're the favorite. If they do, it sets up a pretty big game next week, Pawnee and Staunton, which could go a long way in deciding the Prairie State Championship.
Some other things that we have coming up, we don't talk much about the western part of our coverage area, but boy, there's going to be 3 big weeks of football in the WIVC.
Yeah, in the WIVC North, you have 3 teams. I think you have 3 teams that are all ranked in the top 10 and 1. You have Triopia and Jacksonville Route and Mount Sterling Brown County. Next week, there will be 3 weeks in a row where they all kind of play each other. I said last year, sort of the North Division tough man competition. See who's standing at the end of it. Next week, Route will play at Brown County, so that'll begin maybe kind of shaking out the North Division a little bit. In the WIVC South, Calhoun beat Greenfield last week, so Hardin-Calhoun probably kind of gives them the inside track at first place in the South.
South Central Conference, Carlinville gave Greenville all it could handle last week. What's up with Carlinville this week?
Well, Carlinville plays Pana,
and
that's a game at Carlinville. Pana is off to a 3-0 start. They were a little bit of a surprise last year. It's carried over to this year. This will be clearly Pana's toughest game so far. And Pana has gained some confidence just from the playoff run they made last year. But I think Carlinville spotted Greenville an early lead last week, almost came back. I think Carlinville, I think you have to look at them as a favorite. They have a very strong running game. So,
don't forget to catch Dave's profile of Gentile and Bates, Michael Bates and Josh Gentile. That's in Thursday's State Journal Register, and then he'll be in Williamsville Friday night covering that one.